Let's do this shit. All right, everybody, we're back with another episode of Wealth for the Culture. It's your host, Ollie Brady. I got a guest today, man. I've taken his courses. I've been following him for a minute. You know, he doing all type of stuff. He got financial literacy that he's teaching out here. I didn't even know it until recently. He got the credit repair going. I took his rental car course, me and my partner. We're going to actually get started with that next week. And y'all know I've been talking real heavy about that. Man, it's in real estate. I don't even understand how you got the time. I don't know if he's got a 9 to 5 still or not, but we gonna get into it, man. My boy Brian Robertson, man. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm thankful to be here. Feeling super blessed, man. It's just another day to get it. Thank you for having me.
Oh, for sure, man. I had to get you on after I took that course, man. And I appreciate you for coming on. And normally how we get these podcasts started off, man, I just want you to kind of run into your background, introduce yourself for the people that may not know you.
All right, cool. So, as mentioned, my name is Brian Robinson. I go by the Infamous CPA. So, I started my career out in public accounting as a CPA for one of the big four accounting firms, PwC. But just jumping way back, I'm from the south side of Chicago, mainly the south suburbs. I grew up in a 2-parent household for a while, and then my parents kind of split at 8th grade. Growing up, I was very, very shy, very, very reserved. Really, like most people, I struggled a lot with self-confidence, and it really wasn't until my high school graduation that my grit kind of came out. So I'm sitting in graduation and I'm seeing all these people graduate ahead of me, and I got jealous. I'm like, man, I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, they wasn't smarter than me, they wasn't intellectually superior, none of that, but I let them outwork me. Because I always had the attitude in high school that, I just wanted a 3.0. That was it. I kind of did the bare minimum, knowing that I can just get a 3.0 and kind of skate by. But after that moment, I made a promise to myself to never let anyone outwork me again. So then I went to community college, Perry State College, did very well. And then I transferred to Northern Illinois University, where I started studying accounting. And then that's when really my personal development, personal and professional development journey kind of started. So, I started reading a ton of books. I started dressing different. I sold all my Jordans, like started wearing suits, just really trying to just become a better person and try different things. And then I landed an internship with this company called College Works Painting. And that was my first introduction into being a business owner, because essentially they let you have your own branch of exterior painting. So an exterior painting business. So I operated in Chicago suburbs. And then just in 6 months, I had $25,000. I had $25,000 in sales just from the painting business. I'm talking going door to door. I'm talking communicating with homeowners. Mind you, I'm still like this shy kid. Like I hated talking to people. I wasn't the best communicator, but I had that grit. I kind of had that chip on my shoulder, and that attitude kind of helped me be successful in that realm. And then after that, man, it was just like, man, success everywhere. Like anything I wanted, any job I applied for, internship, whatever, I was getting it. And that's when I started becoming super, super confident. And then things kind of just took off from there. So during college, I joined my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And then after graduation, like I mentioned, I started in corporate. So I was at PwC for a couple of years. But when I graduated, I still wasn't like financially literate. So I literally graduated with like 27 grand in student loan debt, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when I went back and did this analysis, I had about $51,000 in fees that I had to pay with tuition and everything. But I got $49,000 in grants and scholarships. So how did I end up with $27,000 in student loan debt? I was just being stupid, mishandling refund checks, going shopping, all of that jazz. And then on top of that, I had a 580 credit score when I graduated. Like I had, tens of thousands in credit card debt. So once I graduated, I'm like, okay, let me get serious about my finances. That's when I started reading books like The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, The Richest Man in Babylon, really trying to establish my financial foundation, because I realized that I was repeating the same mistakes that my family members would make. My mom was like super materialistic growing up. She made sure that even though we was living check to check, we always had the freshest minds. We always had brand new pairs of, the all white G Phaser. We always had all of that stuff. Back when Lot 29 and Rockaway and all that, Platinum Food, like all of that, right? We had it
Yeah,
all. So man, once I got my first job, not corporate, first job period, I was a cashier at Culver's. Man, all my paychecks, they went to shoes and graphics. That was it, shoes and clothes, right? So I was repeating the same bad habits. So that was huge for me because I realized that's what a lot of people do. They just go through the motions. They never stop and reflect to think about what they're doing and kind of where those habits kind of came from. And man, we learn so much just by the people around us. And that's why they typically say, like, you're a product of your environment. And a lot of people, they are because they choose to be, because they never choose something different. But after getting back into my story, after I finally started my financial foundation. I got interested in real estate, and then I just started to go hard, man. Like reading books, every day after work, I would literally go to one of my mentors' projects, and I would help him. So I'm putting in work, asking questions, learning, doing all of this for free because I knew that the knowledge that I was going to gain, it was going to be way more valuable than the time that I was going to be putting in. So I was doing that, and then I bought my first building, which was a 3 unit in Chicago. When did I buy that? March of 2019. And this was a fixer upper. I had to put about 52,000 in repairs into it, but I bought it for 140 with an FHA loan. So I ended up only coming out of pocket about $7,500. And then after the renovation, I was cash flowing $300 a month, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when you think about it, now I'm living for free because I'm living in 1 unit, renting out the other two. I'm living for free, and on top of that, I'm making extra $300 a month. And in Chicago, rent ain't cheap. Like I'm searching for a new I was searching for a new 1 bedroom recently. Man, if you want something nice, you're paying like $1,500 a month. So imagine you're pocketing that $1,500 because you're not paying rent, and on top of that, you got an extra $300. So I was able to save like an extra $1,800 a month, which really gave me a lot of freedom and flexibility to start investing. And during that time, I had my car rental business going as well. So now I got cash flow from the car rental business. I got cash flow from the real estate. And then I was able to continually invest, throw a bunch of money in the stock market. And then in March of 2020, I actually, backtracking, October of 2019, I actually left PwC and I went to this commercial real estate developer because I wanted to do just real estate, right? I wanted to get that real estate knowledge. So I was a financial analyst there and everything's going smooth. Then a pandemic hit. And this real estate developer, they were focused on the hotel industry. So they had to close every hotel at the start of the pandemic. So you know what that led to? It led to layoffs. So,
damn.
I was new. My position was actually new because I started as a property accountant and they created this new financial analyst role specifically for me because I was killing it as an accountant, but I had a lot more real estate knowledge than a lot of people there. So they put me on, started this new position, but then it wasn't much room for that position once the pandemic hit. So I actually got laid off. And, I told myself that I wasn't going back to a job. When I got that phone call from the VP of finance, he sounded like super sad. He didn't want to be laying off people. And I told him, like, look, I got plenty of income coming in. Everything's going to be okay. Because actually, the month prior to that, I started my car rental course and I did 16K my first month. So I was fine. And I'm like, this is just a start. I'm going to keep running it up. And then I actually I did 100K in about 28 weeks with my car rental business just off courses alone. So that was pretty dope. And then since then, I've been rocking and rolling, man, full-time entrepreneur. I'm currently doing 2 real estate flips. And then next Wednesday, if all goes well, I should be closing on 3 lots. I'm actually about to do some new construction with some modular homes. But that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I'm rocking and rolling with real estate, car rentals. I'm still trying to, help people out with personal finances. I got the credit repair biz. And yeah, I do a couple other things as well. So that's a long-winded description of who I am and
Bro,
where I'm at today.
I ain't wrong. It's crazy because no, you got so much. I'm glad you said. Like, I'm honestly glad you said you got laid off because I'm like, how you managing all of this? Like,
Yep.
golly, you got so much going on, man. There's a whole bunch I want to get into with this, man. But let's just start. Just on college, right? Because a lot of people have this thing right now with whether college is worth it or not. Just tell me about like how college impacted just you personally.
Yeah. For me, man, college was super worth it. It's like I mentioned, man, I went into college very shy, very reserved, really needing that personal and professional development, man. And the networking piece was huge. Like I'm networking with a lot of like-minded individuals, all going into different realms. And a lot of them actually, a lot of my close friends, they became business owners. And even my mentor, I found him through my fraternity. So like that was huge because now we partner on projects. So really the personal professional development piece kind of intertwined with the networking piece, man. College was huge, but I think a lot of people that actually go to college, they don't put their best foot forward. 'Cause, I mean, I wasn't playing no games. I was making sure I had good grades. I was making sure I was being super, super active and involved, joining a bunch of different organizations, networking not just with my peers, but with my professors as well. And that's how I was able to get a ton of internships. Like I was, my first internship after my that college works painting gig, I was making like $25 an hour as an intern, at the
Damn.
top accounting firm. So like that's crazy. Like you typically don't see that. But a lot of people they don't even get internships. They play around with their grades. Like that's why I think some people see college is not being as worth it, but a lot of people they're just not strategic about how they go into it because if you're looking at the times now and you seeing tech is going crazy, why wouldn't you just go into tech, run it up, and then you can invest that money into something that you actually love to do? I think a lot of people focus on their passions rather than the profit. And it's like if you coming from a low income background, you need to focus on that
Hmm.
profit and let that fund your passion. So that's always my go to because I mean, I always love math, but people see accounting and they think math, but in reality, you don't do a ton of math in accounting. So everything is like Excel based calculations, problem solving, stuff like that. And you just working in spreadsheets every day. So man, you really got to focus on I say focus on the profit first and let that fund your passion. But I think college can be worth it. You really just got to be strategic, but it's going to depend on what you want to do. You want to be a certified public accountant, you got to go to college. You want to be a doctor, you got to go to college. Certain type of engineers, things like that. With tech, I think you can kind of just get certifications now. With college, probably helps. But yeah, it really just depends on what you want to do. It is a ton of ways to run it up outside of college too. You just gotta figure out what you want to do, and don't worry about anybody else because it's easy to look at the next person and say, "Oh, they did this, so I don't have to do it." But your journey is your journey, so you got to focus on you.
Oh, definitely. And I'm glad you mentioned, being strategic with college because a lot of times I tell people the same thing. While I don't think for some people it might not be the best route, but definitely if you're gonna go, you need to make the most of that opportunity, right? You mentioned like you was networking, you got a mentor, and you understood like you need to be finding a way to make some money over just doing what you super super passionate about, and the passion will come on the back end later on once you got the bread stacked up and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm glad you mentioned all of that. And so you also mentioned that you wasn't too like financially literate while you was working on your account and everything like that. So where did that financial literacy part come into play for you?
So it was actually weird, man, because actually when I was in college, I was a part of this group called what was it called? Man, what was the name of that? Financial Sense. And we literally went across campus and we were giving presentations on financial literacy. But I just wasn't applying it. I'm speaking the gospel, I'm understanding the concepts, but I wasn't applying it, man. So like I just made a ton of bad decisions. Like my first bad decision probably was outside of the refund check things. I bought a brand new car, a 2016 Ford Fusion, like my going into my senior year of college. So the car note was 385, and then I'm paying like 115 for insurance. So I'm paying $500 a month. My expenses at the time was like about $500 a month too. So altogether, I'm like $1,000 a month in full expenses, including the car, and I'm only making like $1,100 a month at school. So I'm literally living check to check off that one decision. And yeah, I just wasn't really disciplined. So the financial literacy piece for me, it really came after college, looking at my situation, seeing how low my credit score was, seeing, I had no money stacked up, seeing that I had all this student loan debt when in reality I didn't have to. I really sat down and I did a huge self-reflection, man. Like that's when I started doing analysis. Like, man, I got all this student loan debt, but okay, how much did I actually spend? How much did I actually have in grants and scholarships? And when I saw that, I was like, okay, I messed up. but I didn't get depressed or anything like that. And I think that's what hinders a lot of people too, because they look at their current situation and they let it get them down. But for me, it's like, okay, I messed up. I'm gonna fix it. So then that's when I just started reading a ton of books. I started budgeting a lot. And then I started helping people very early on too, because one thing I did was I offered free budgeting sessions a couple of years ago. So I would literally help somebody create a budget, help them, save money, things like that. And it was just reinforcing the concepts for me. Um, so yeah, it just came with a ton of research. I had to really just teach myself because I didn't have anybody else to teach me. And then I was just strategic on social media too. Instead of having a personal page with all my friends with college and all that, that's where the infamous CPA kind of came into play, because I wanted to have social media where I'm only following real estate people or finance people. Like I wanted to create a space where if I'm mindlessly scrolling on social media, I'm learning something.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, I'm just laughing the whole time, and you're not being productive. So I knew that being in this information age and being in this social media age, we're all addicted to technology. We all addicted to social media. So I'm like, if this is gonna be an addiction, it's gonna have to be something where I can learn something along the way. So yeah, that's kind of where that financial literacy piece came from. Just reading, researching, applying those concepts, and really figuring out what works best for me. At the end of the day, personal finance is personal. Like you can see what I do and how I do it, but it may not work for you. Like you can take my budgeting approach, that may work, but my investing approach, it may not work for you. So you really got to figure out what works best for you, and it's a lot of trial and error in that.
There's a few things you hit on. Like, I'm glad for one. A lot of people don't. You said that you had just like a self reflection period in your time right after college, and that's real big because a lot of people don't even have that mentality to go and be like, okay, maybe it's me that's causing this situation. They'll just kind of
Hmm.
just keep mindlessly living and doing what they're doing, and then wonder why they ain't got no money or why they can't, take advantage of stuff. Like they may see a play on Twitter or like Instagram or wherever. They might hear about a way to make some money, and they can't even act on it because they haven't put themselves in a situation where they have their finances in order. On top of that, you said you started off, you was helping people out just for free, just to not only just to help them, but it reinforced what you knew and helped you out as well. So those are two big things, man. I want to salute on, and the fact that where did the credit repair come into all of this? Like, because you
Man,
said you
so
had that too.
yeah, I got that too. So that just came out of my own need, man. Like when I told you I graduated with a 580 credit score, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work. So what I did was I just repaired my credit myself. Did a ton of research, joined a couple credit groups on Facebook, bought a couple credit courses on credit repair, things of that nature, and then I was able to grow to my score to like a 700 in just a couple of months. So I'm like, okay, I bet it's a ton of people in our community that needs this. So I started that with a partner, one of my homies who I went to NIU with. She's a CPA as well. And we've been rocking and rolling with that. That's at the 700circle.com for anybody interested. But yeah, so that's really where the need for credit repair kind of came into play. It came out of my own need. And then I figure, a lot of other people probably need help with this as well.
One thing that I've noticed with you, everything that you said is something that you personally needed. That you basically just like what everybody knows that entrepreneurship should be. You find a
Hmm.
problem and you go help find a solution for that problem. But what you did was you took it a step further. You found a problem for yourself. So now you fix problem for yourself. Now you got the proof already. You don't have to go out and get like a lot of people go take on a bunch of free clients to get that
Hmm.
social proof and then start doing stuff. No, you just use yourself as the test dummy, figured it out, got proof of it, and then ran with a play. And on top of that, you mentioned a few times, right, that you like partnerships. Because a lot of people have that negative connotation. I don't know why people have this problem with partnering up with people, but can you kind of just talk about like what you like the importance you think of partnerships, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think partnerships is huge, especially when you're doing a ton of different things. Because, like for me, for some reason, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just wired like this. I always take on too much, right? But I knew that that would never change for me. So I figured, like, the only way for me to continue to be successful and not burn myself out is with strategic partnerships. And I bumped my head a couple of times along the way, had bad partnerships here and there. But over time, you just get better at it. You get better at analyzing people, get better at reading people, understanding their strengths and weaknesses. And over time, you start to build, solid partnerships. So that's why I started partnering, with credit repair. I partnered a lot with the car rental business as well, leveraging people's credit, leveraging people's capital, et cetera, et cetera. Because I knew that, I had to spread these responsibilities around. And then it kind of came out of my situation as well, because when I was working at PwC, we're working 60, 70 hours a week during busy season. So, I mean, I'm getting in at 8 a.m. and we're not leaving till sometimes to 1, 2 in the morning. So it was no way that I was going to be, running my businesses and being successful at it without having any type of partnerships. Because actually, my first busy season, when I was still in the car rental business, man, it was hell. It was hell. It was terrible. It was so tough. But then I'm like, okay, I got to spread these responsibilities around, because if not, not only am I not going to be able to provide a high quality service to my clients, like I'm not going to be bringing in any income. And at the end of the day, all of that is just going to add additional stress, and I'm just going to be unhappy. So I think, man, in business, man, you can't have an individual mentality, because it's a team sport. Like, it's not like the NBA where people will be scared to join super teams and all of that. It's like in business, you want to have a super team. You want to be able to put yourself in a position where you can win a championship every single year in and out. So that's kind of how I look at business. It's just really just a team sport. And you just want to have the best team to be able to impact the most people and ultimately, bring in the most income.
I'm glad you hit on all that, because especially with the analogy with the NBA, like that's something so true. Because I'm doing the same thing right now after seeing so many people, like I'm people like you, the Andre Hatchets, there are people like that that I see in space. Because I just started really getting heavy on social media like the last like 6, 7 months. I wasn't really big on social media like that, but then once I realized, like you was mentioning, I use like tailor your timeline and stuff like that, you'll start seeing things that you could learn something every day. And that was the biggest thing I've seen, is just the power of partnerships. And you was mentioning like how it'll help your workload. Also, I feel like you finding other experts at what they're good at, and y'all two experts in different fields. Now you can focus on one thing in this business, somebody else focus on another. So that's something that's huge as well, that people I don't think take into account. They just want 100% of all the money that could be coming in, when really they could just get like maybe a slice of that pie for a bigger cut. I always tell
Man,
people like 50%, like 10 million. What would you rather have, that, or you rather have 100% of the 100,000? And a lot of people
man,
don't. They let that go over their head. And I'm just like, and then you putting all that work and stress. So like you sitting here, there's no way like you would be able to probably get all the things, because you got a lot going on, bro. Like, there
yeah.
ain't no way you better get all that stuff accomplished if you didn't have somebody that you could bounce some ideas off of, or take that workload off of you. So I'm
Mhm.
just glad that you was hitting on all that stuff, man, because that's something I've had to learn slowly. Because I be wanting to do everything myself, and it's hard to like let go of that ownership thing of
Yeah.
having everything, having your hand in everything. But when you start realizing, like, and you mentioned vetting people and stuff like that, and like being able to vet people, that's like the super key right there. That's a major bar that you was just dropping. And I want people to understand, like, you don't have to do everything alone, man. Because they had that
Mhm.
saying, you want to go fast, go alone, but you want to go far, you got to go together. And the more people you got in your circle, man,
Facts.
y'all can really get some stuff accomplished. And Brian is basically the embodiment of that, because man doing like 5 different things. It is crazy. So that just, I want y'all to take that in. But you got the real estate play also, man. And how did that even get started? Like, how did you get into that game? Like, what made you want to take the real estate route?
Man, it really started with I really think it started during that college works painting internship, because I'm in and out of houses, even though we just doing exterior painting. It's like it just made me like really pay attention to real estate. So now, after that internship, it's like every time I'm riding past a house, I'm just looking at it, just looking, identifying the type of paint, type of siding, whatever. Because I just had that mindset because I was trained on it. So then, once I graduated and I started really trying to set a financial foundation, reading all these books, it was just telling me over and over and over again. Most millionaires, they invest in real estate. They have real estate. not even just millionaires, but everyday people, they invest in real estate too. They just on the buying side versus the seller side or the landlord side. They just in a different arena. So I'm like, it's really a no brainer. So after I got interested in real estate, I just looked for people who was already doing what I was doing because I'm the type of person where I'm not finna reinvent the wheel. Like if something's working for somebody else and they have a need that I can feel or I can go to them and I can add some type of value, I'm gonna go do that in exchange for that knowledge. So that's kind of why I kind of went to my mentor, like, you need help, yada yada yada. So I'm there literally, like, I don't care if I'm working till like 6 o'clock at my 9 to 5, I'm still gonna go because they're gonna be there to like 10. So, I'm literally going there every single day. Like, I don't care if I'm tired, whatever, I'm going, I'm learning. And then, just from there, I was like, I found the house hacking strategy. So I'm like, okay, I'm renting right now, but I know that as my income increased, I still want my expenses to decrease. So that's when I got into house hacking. For those who don't know what house hacking is, it's essentially leveraging your tenants to pay down your mortgage while you profit and you live for free. So most commonly, you're going to buy a 2 to 4 unit building using the FHA loan where you only got to put 3.5% down, and then you'll just rent out one unit. If it's a duplex, you're going to rent out one unit and live in the other one, or a 3 unit, et cetera, et cetera. So that's when I started looking for a house hack in Chicago. And at the time, the market was high. We was kind of at the top of the market like we are now. And I really wanted something finished because I was afraid to do any type of renovation. But, I was going to pay a crazy premium. So after looking for like 6 months, I stopped looking. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my income up some more so I can afford one of these finished buildings. But the prices just kept increasing. And over that time period when I stopped looking at, that's when I started the car rental business in August of 2018. And so I ran it up in that for a couple of months, met my savings goal, and then I started looking again. But this time, after taking some risk with the car rental business, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll take some risk and I'll just do my own renovations since I can't find the prices I want. So that's when I jumped into it, and that was it was super beneficial because, man, I didn't know what I was doing. I had people around me giving me advice, yada yada. But at the end of the day, I still had to do it myself and get that firsthand experience. So I hired a GC, started off decent, and then, man, shit just went left. So we had weeks where no work was being done, communication was terrible,
Oh,
and it was just a lot of different factors. I felt like I was getting finessed. I mean, like, most people would tell you a GC charged like 20% of the overall budget, but man, I feel like for some things he was charging me 100%
wow.
upcharge. So if something was 2 bands at cost, he was probably charging me 4. So actually, during that project, I actually started GCing a little bit myself because I was hiring different trades to do stuff outside of his outside of the scope of what he was supposed to be doing. And if he was moving too slow, I would tell him like, "Look, I'll find somebody else." And I was just doing that. And this is all at the same time while I'm at busy season at PwC. So I'm really, really balancing all of this. And then even at nights, I would go do some of the work myself, hop on YouTube, learn it, whatever. And that ultimately led me to becoming my own general contractor because I tried it again with another flip I'm doing right now, hired a GC, and they got a stop work order, which is basically like taboo in Chicago. It's basically saying that you were doing work without a permit. And this contractor was saying, "Oh, I applied for the permit, I applied for it, but then we get a stop work order." So fire him. I became my own GC. And we've been rocking and rolling with that project ever since. But yeah, going back into the first project, finished that renovation out. It took way longer. It took way longer than I expected. I paid more than I expected. I really didn't have the eye to see what was done right and what was not done right. Missed things in the scope of work. Like, it was crazy how much you miss when you just a beginner. But that experience just bears so much fruit because now I have a foundation of knowledge to grow upon. So then, going into my next projects, I just continually learn more and more. And then just getting laid off was just a blessing because now I'm able to be there, 9 to 5 or 7 to 3, whatever so have you, to be able to really, really be on the ground learning. But even though I made a ton of mistakes on that first project, it turned into a win because, like I mentioned, I bought it for 140, put 52 into it, so I'm all in at 192. And then in December of last year, I sold that for 300. So I walked away with like 75 bands. And then on top of that, with all the money saved from living for free and all that, I definitely made over 100K with that just one decision to buy that property. So it all worked out in the end. So
It's
yeah,
a
that's
lot
kind
of
of how I
stuff you
got into
just
real
hit
estate.
on, bro. Main thing for me. So you a GC too?
Yeah, I'm a general contractor. But
Bro,
I only do work for my own projects though. I don't do it for nobody else, so
no, I was
it's
gonna
not
say
as
because you
stressful.
might be the only person I seen in the real estate game that actually be out there doing like I be seeing you do all the carpentry and everything. I'm like,
Yeah, I
dang, he
do little
doing
stuff here and there. I knew that, I needed to save money here and there because man, this market is crazy. It's crazy. All the prices went up like, man, especially in Chicago. Just to give you a frame of reference, one of my buildings I bought in September of last year, we got for 75 bands, and that same building, like if we would have did no renovations, would be worth 125.
No, yeah, I
So
already know. Yep, I'm out of
so
Texas and it's crazy out here right now.
yeah, it's like that coupled with the rising lumber costs, electrical
Yep,
wiring costs went up, copper went up, like pretty much all building materials across the board increased. So I knew, I had to do some stuff here and there myself just to save some money. I had to give up a little time, but you gotta find a place to save some money. And at the end of the day, I like doing it. I like
yep,
doing little DIY projects, building little desks and mud room benches, stuff like that. I like doing it, and I think every man should know a little bit about carpentry because you're gonna need to fix something. At the end of the day, you're gonna want to be a homeowner at some point. So like your wife or whomever or your kids, your family, they're gonna need to be able to depend on you to fix stuff. Like if it's little knickknack stuff here and there, I think every man should know how to do a little bit. Be a little bit handy. You don't got to be crazy handy. You don't got to be no
yeah,
plumber or nothing like that. But you should be able to fix something.
yeah. That's crazy that like you a whole GC too. But dang, bro, you got a lot going on, bro. But but just a few things that you kind of hit on, like even when you was first trying to get into this in the real estate game, you mentioned like you went and found a mentor, and it wasn't just like what he can do for you. It was just some way that you felt like you could add value to them. Because a lot of
Yep.
people, I'm not as big as you by no means, but I'll get people hit me up because I do stocks and stuff, and I'm just like mentor man. I'm just like, well, what is it like? What's the benefit for me to mentor you? And a
Mhm.
lot of people have that thing where they'll come to people and say, it just help me do this, help me do that. And it's like, have you like maybe you got a course? Have you bought the course? Or like how you put value to me? Like, are you gonna make my life easier? So I'm glad that you hit on that too, because you said you went to them just like no matter you was working all day during the busy season, you was comfortable, just like all right, that's cool. I went to work now. How can I come help and add value here? Anywhere I can, and people will pour back into you when you start doing stuff like that, just
That's
just
a
off the
fact.
strength of that. And that's what people need to understand. Like this man dropping a lot of things for y'all, and honestly, we don't get too many kids that's like got 15, whole bunch of stuff going on here and all these different industries. You get to see the game on so many different things right now. So you were saying your strategy right now basically is just flips.
Yeah, because I really want to get a ton of capital, but I'm on the fence because I'm actually doing a flip, but it's kind of a house hack with my lady, and we trying to decide. We keep going back and forth on whether or not we gonna sell it because we can sell it and get top dollar, but at the same time, now a new problem presents itself. We got to find somewhere to live.
Yeah,
Originally, we was
yeah,
just gonna house hack it, and I think that's probably what we'll just end up doing. But the good thing about it is we just got multiple exit strategies, so either way it works. It's just like which one do we want to go with? So it's a good problem to have. But yeah, my strategy right now, I just want a ton of capital, man, because I don't really want to have to rely on these expensive loan products. Because for a lot of my flips, I'm using hard money, and man, it's so expensive. It's like so many fees, like, and it's sometimes it's quick, a lot of times it's not as quick as they advertise it to be. But yeah, so that's why I want to have a nest egg. But at the end of the day, I really want to start building a private lender network of individuals. So then it's just like everyday people can invest with me and I won't have to worry about going to a hard money lender, or I have the hard money lender fund the majority of it. Then I have, private lenders fund the down payment to the hard money lender. So now I'm not coming out of pocket at all because everybody. It sounds good when you say like all my money tied up in investments, but then no, all your bread really be tied up in
Yeah.
investments. It's not a great feeling, man. So I'm really trying to get to the point where I'm really using other people's money for everything, and then my money can just be invested in the stock market, and I have a ton liquid as well, just for anything that comes up or any plays I want to make. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm trying to get to. Get a ton of capital, so I have just way more freedom and flexibility.
No, I'm glad you hit on that too, because like my mentor out here in Dallas, that's his whole strategy. He's private money to the fullest. He'll use the hard money. He'll do exactly that same thing that you're doing. Like he has the hard money lenders, and he's built up a relationship with them where he can get. He doesn't pay as many points on the money, and his interest rates are low. But
Hmm.
he also got a whole network of private money where he going into these deals at $0 out of his own pocket, but still able to make a profit off of this. So that's really a whole play right there in itself.
Yeah, that's the move.
That if you
That's
can figure
definitely
that out, that's like that you could print money basically at that point,
exactly.
and you
That's
don't
the
have to.
goal.
And he paid
That,
pretty high. He paid high interest on his private money. Like he probably paid higher than anybody I ever met in the game. But it's just he want to help out like black people to give back, and I respect it. But that's
mhm.
definitely like, hey, if you figure that out, if you get them private money lenders, that's where it's at, man. Because it's infinite possibilities with that. But
Yeah, it's definitely coming. Because I mean, the play is it's just like for I give you an example of what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to get into these modular homes where essentially the home is kind of built in a factory for the most part. Like all you doing is
is that like
providing the
tiny
financing.
houses?
No, it's just regular houses. But
Oh, okay.
instead of they being traditionally built like uh, they basically build everything on in a factory, bring it over to the site. The foundation, everything is poured regularly, but in terms of the structure of the
Okay.
home, everything is steel. And then yeah, they basically build everything in the factory and they put it together like Legos on site instead of you buying all the wood framing, all the it get framed out completely, and then you covering it up with all the sheeting and siding and all of that, and then you throwing in the mechanicals. Like nah, everything arrives basically kind of they just put it together. So then with that, it's like okay, if we can just finance it with none of our own money, and somebody else is building it like now this is passive income because all we have to do is line up the financing and we already have the modular build company. They're going to do everything from A to Z and then they just finish it and then we sell it or we rent it out. So that's kind of where I'm trying to get to, but it requires a lot of capital up front because you have the hard money lender won't they cost to close, and then on top of that the builder requires x amount to start the process of building it in the factories. So it requires a lot of capital up front, but if we can get these three model homes done and we see the process and it works, yeah, it's gonna be go time for sure.
And that's another thing that goes back to your statement. Like, it sounds cool to have all your money tied up in investments, but the real game change is when you can be liquid, man. Because then you can
Yeah,
start
that's a
you can
fact.
start making real moves at any time. Because that's kind of what I'm
Hmm.
running into right now. Like, I got all my extra money just tied up, and I ain't got no opportunities to jump on certain things right now. Especially with real estate being as high as it is, like out here in Texas, man, the
Hmm.
market going up weekly. It ain't even like every
I
month.
heard.
Like it don't make no sense out here right now. Like I'm looking at trying to get a property for myself, and like in a week the price went up 4%. I'm just like
What?
I'm like dog, like I
Wow.
can't keep up with this right now.
Yeah,
So
that's
no,
crazy.
and we don't have that luxury. Like y'all have a lot of multifamilies in the
Hmm.
Midwest. We ain't really. It's hard if you find a multifamily people offering. Like I just got outbid. I put like 10, 15K over ask thinking I was doing something, and that
Oh
wasn't even
yeah.
nothing. Yeah, like so it's
Yeah, it
tough.
happened
But
out here. It happened out here too. I mean, I had a duplex we bid on. They was asking for 100. We offered 125 cash. We lost to an offer. Somebody offered 150 cash,
damn.
or one. I don't know if it's cash actually, but they offered 150, and it's like, damn, 50 over asking. That's what it took to
Oh,
get
that's
that
the
one.
norm out
God
here.
damn,
Like right
that's
now,
crazy.
40, 50 over asking, like you can't even talk. You gotta at this point, everybody gotta go find wholesalers.
Wow.
And I don't know if you deal with wholesalers, but they trying to get top dollar. And at that point, you really ain't as a flipper, you ain't making no kind of money off of that. So
Yeah, no
they don't leave you
margin.
no room.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
the
don't leave you no
wholesalers out
room there,
here.
man.
The wholesalers out here, man. The prices they be they be trying to get for these properties, man, be ridiculous, man. I had a similar situation where my mentor, it was a property next to where one my mentor finished. He paid like, I think like 80 bands for the property. And the property next door in similar condition. Similar, the ARV really hasn't changed. And they trying to get 150 for it. It's like, are you nuts?
That's what
You
I'm
nuts at
saying.
that point.
And it's getting annoying. 'Cause I'm like, dog, like, I get the whole stuff trying to make bread, but at a certain point, it got to make sense. You got to leave me some room to make some money. Like, if I ain't got no kind of margin, like, what am I doing this for? I'm gonna lose money.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
the main thing that I want to get into, man, this rental car game, bro. So y'all don't know, Brian got a course. Me and my boy took this course. We were getting a vehicle. We've been through two headaches right now. We had two vehicles. Had to get couldn't finish them. Get closed out on. One had a recall issue, whatever. The other one there was a financing issue. So hopefully next week we get this first vehicle. But Brian got this course, man. I'm gonna hype it up because he might not. So I'm gonna hype this mother up because he give you the play. He run the play for you. If you don't even care about the course itself, the spreadsheet alone that you get in that was enough for me to like. And it's not even. I don't know how much it costs now. When we got it, it was like I don't even think it was $100. It might have been on sale or something like that. So I think we caught it for like 97. I don't know if it was like a sale or what. I don't know what the
Mhm.
price is now, but you can't beat that, man. And I know people be skeptical, of course, but dog, you spend $100 on dumber stuff. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you that right now. This can at least bring you some money, and it's bringing you money off of liabilities. Like you don't really see too many things where you can take a liability and turn it to an asset. So I say all this to say, man, like, what even? How did you even get into the rental car game?
Yeah, man. So it all started when I mentioned I was looking for a property and I basically was getting priced out the market. So then I took a step back and I'm like, okay, I need to bring in some more income. And one of my homies, he told me about the rental car game. He's like, man, I'm renting out these cars, yada yada. And then one day we sat down, we had a meeting, um, and he told me the game on the basic level. So what I did was I'm like, okay, we can partner, but I'm not gonna rush into it. I already had a vehicle. I had that 2016 Ford Fusion I was telling you about that was taking 500 out of my pocket every month. So I'm like, okay, now I'm working at PwC. I'm hugging a cubicle. The bus stop is across the street from my crib. So I'm literally not driving my car, not driving my car. So I'm like, I might as well rent it out. So once he told me about this, I literally went and got an Uber Lyft inspection, which you needed for HyreCar, which is a platform where you're renting directly to people who do Uber and Lyft or who do delivery driving. Um, so I got the Uber Lyft inspection, took pictures of the vehicle, put it up on HyreCar. It was rented within, a couple of days. And now my first rental, I made like $1,100. It was a 36-day rental. So after I got the car ready, it was completely passive. I checked in with the guy, maybe every week, every 2 weeks. And then he just brought it back. Everything was fine. And, over the course of that time, I made 1,100. And this is my first taste at passive income. So I'm like, damn, this is what it feels
Yeah.
like? And man, I was addicted from that on out, that time on out. So 3 weeks later, I partnered with the homie that I was telling you about, and we bought a vehicle, started renting that out. And then I just kept building my fleet until I got up to about 18 cars. Then I started to scale back, get rid of some bad partnerships, But man, the rental car business is crazy because it's such a low cost to entry. So typically I pay anywhere between 1,500 to two bands to get started. That's if I'm financing a car with like 10% down. Because typically I would maybe, find the car for about 10K, put a grand down, and then I got some other fees. That's only like 150. You got your insurance down payment, and then you got your Uber and Lyft inspection, and then all other things as well. You really want to have a lockbox because you don't really want to be doing pick up and drop off yourself. Get a lockbox that can fit a car key. If you're doing Turo, you need things like a tire gauge just to make sure that your tires are at the right level because Turo is huge on that. And there's a couple other things, air freshener. You have to put a little gas in it because the dealership ain't gonna have really gas in it. But yeah, 1,500 to two bands to get started if you're financing a vehicle. and then you get that money back in maybe 3.5, 4 months. So that's what's great about it. It's like the cash on cash return is typically like 200 to 300% or more. So just to give you some typical numbers, I typically would, like I mentioned, put 1,500 down with all fees and everything included, and then that car is going to bring me back, $400 or $500 in cash flow each month. So when you think about it like that, you pay 1,500, and over the course of a year, even on the low end, if you're getting $400 in cash flow, that's 4,800 in cash flow in a year off a $1,500 investment. So you basically just tripled your money in a year's time just with one car. So imagine you get up to that 18 car level. Now you just bringing in a whole bunch of income, right? So that's what I really love about the car business. I mainly focus on HyreCar, but I actually just listed my first car on Turo because all my students been hyping it up. I'm like, okay, let me look into Turo. So I actually partnered with one of my students, the Wealthy G, and we're updating the course, and it's going to be a Turo portion now. And I'm doing a deeper dive into HyreCar. So even though the first one was like super detailed, this is way more in depth. And we're trying to finish it out, everything recorded, but we're gonna be releasing it in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, y'all updating the court? Hey, yeah.
We updating it, yeah. So it's gonna be an update. Everybody who purchased it, we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do because we don't know if it's gonna be free or for additional cost. But I know it's way more game, so it may be for a small additional cost for people who already got it. They probably get a huge discount. But yeah, we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do because Turo, I actually really like Turo right now. Like,
Nah, that I've been tracking right now because I've been trying because I know we about to cop a Central probably. And man, dog, like cars don't out here. I don't know what it look like out there, but out here, Centras, it's crazy because they going for like 50, 60 a day. And the
mhm,
mugs like probably got like I probably see I've seen about 10 in circulation, but every day is probably maybe two left. So it's definitely a heavy market out here. And also you gotta think the car shortage right now, everything
yep,
going on, like everybody's going crazy for rental cars. And
it's
it was crazy
huge, man.
because oh my bad. You had mentioned the hire car play. Like that was I'd always heard about Turo and your hire car
Mhm,
play. It was just like I had never like once I found that platform, I'm like, well, now you got two options. So
dude.
that's definitely a lit.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that car shortage, man, that's huge, bro. Cause like, man, the demand is crazy. Like I mentioned, man, I posted my first car on Turo in the morning, and it was booked 12 hours later. Like, and this is not, it ain't cheap. 75 hours, $75 a day for that Toyota Corolla. Like, it
Do
was
you do
crazy.
do you do like any mileage limits and stuff like that or
So yeah, for Turo, I just kept it at the default setting. I think like it was like $600. I think 200 per day. Um, and for hire car, I typically set very high mileage restrictions because they doing delivery driving, so they always driving. But for Turo, like I don't want people going super far, like on a road trip or nothing like that. Um, unless they're doing it for like a couple of weeks. But yeah, I would put some type of mileage restriction because actually with Turo, if they go over your mileage limits, you get paid 34 cents per mile if they go over. So what I love about Turo is that it's really, really like Airbnb. The industry in itself is like Airbnb, but in terms of Turo's platform, man, it's so similar to Airbnb. Like, man, it's super dope, but because it's so good, if you want the best payment, the best insurance plan and protection plan, oh, you're gonna pay a premium.
yeah.
So hire cars, their best protection plan, you're gonna give up 25% of your income to sleep good at night. With Turo, you're gonna give up 40% of your income, but it has more benefits than the hire car plan. Like for example, with Turo, let's say someone crashes your vehicle and now you're missing out on income. With Turo's 60 plan, you're going to get paid $50 a day for the income you're missing out from your car not being rented. But with hire car, they're not going to give you no money for the income that you would be missing out, even if it's like a renter's late. So I'm actually I might just transfer all my cars over to Turo. I don't know. The biggest thing for me is Turo is more active unless you structure it right because you're gonna have more renters because people are doing more short-term rentals, whereas with hire car is more long-term rentals because people are actually using the vehicle to make money for an extended
Mhm.
period of time. So you really gotta, it's pros and cons to each. So that's why I really wanted to update the course and give people the game on both. And you know me, I never teach something that I haven't done. So I made sure to partner with somebody who's only been doing Turo. They have all the knowledge and they code with it. And on top of that, you know, something else that we just came out with is the commercial auto financing masterclass. So now we're teaching people how to only finance vehicles in their business name because we don't want people getting a ton of car loans in their name because at the end of the day, you might want to buy a house in the future. We don't want this to impact your debt to income ratio. So now we want you to only purchase in your business name. So now we're teaching you how to run that play, whether or not your LLC has been in business for 2 years or not, you still can run that play. So that's something, you know, if you want to check out, you can click the link in my bio as well. And it's Father's Day weekend, it's Juneteenth weekend. So that is 50% off with the code. What's that code? Rental cars, plural. And then my course is 30% off. I don't know when it's gonna be released, but just hit me up. I'll extend it. 30% off with the code 1865 for Juneteenth. So make sure to take advantage of that for sure.
Hey, I think I said that
Definitely
what
gonna
the
be going
G
up.
guy. I think I said that what the G guy. I think Ralph Means Biz, I believe, was the other guy I follow on Instagram. I think I said that. You said it's commercial auto financing?
Yeah. So we partner with the Wealthy G. So his name is George Waters. That's actually who I'm partnered with to do my course. You know, Ralph Mean Biz. That's another one. He's in the car rental space. He actually took my course, and now he's running it up and running the play as well and helping people too. So
Nah, yeah, because I definitely need to. I want that business blueprint because right now that the exact thing that you just mentioned, uh, I'm
yes,
running
sir.
into
That's
that issue with
that's
the debt
major
to
right
income. That debt to income is killing me because I'm trying to get a property. My boy just got his property, so we're gonna use his credit first. But we're trying to get a, LLC situated right now so that we can just have
now.
all
Okay.
the cars under the business and just run it up from there. Do you do any like do you just strictly stick to the economy cars, or do you have like any high dollar car like your Teslas and stuff like that?
So since I was mainly on HyreCar, I just focused on the economy cars because I didn't want to take the risk with getting a luxury car and this being
Mm.
rented out so frequently and getting damaged. But now that I'm moving on to the Turo side, that's definitely probably a play. And I always wanted a Tesla, so I think I may just run a play with a Tesla with the business financing. I think that's probably gonna be the move. And then yeah, I'll probably just rock and roll from there.
Hey, all I'm saying, man, if y'all ain't listening, this man dropping all the game. Uh, Again, partnerships. If y'all don't get nothing from it, just try to connect with somebody because you don't never know who out there. And he's saying right now he partnering with people that he's taught. So it ain't like you gotta just work. Like you can work with anybody. It ain't just got to be somebody else that may be doing it. It could be somebody that you put on game, and now they done built up their whole network and platform, and now y'all come together, and y'all go get a bigger bag. So just take that into consideration, man, because he really out here dropping gems. He got the course. Go cop it, man, because I'm telling y'all, I got it in. Right now, we about to run this up, man, because at this point, we just get in the car next week. My boy just closed on his house, so we're going to use his credit for the first one. Hopefully, I get a house with the quickness, and we're going to get this LLC play going, and that's when you really take it to the next level. That's what I'm seeing right now.
That's how you scale. Yep.
But, bro, I just want to say I appreciate you, man, for coming on, man. I done learned a whole lot. I know everybody that tuned in is going to learn a whole lot. I got my last segment real quick. That's just a talk to the culture segment. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. So the first question, what does wealth look like to you?
Man, wealth looks like to me, man, it's really just freedom. Freedom to be able to travel when you want, freedom to be able to, have fun when you want and still have income coming in. And wealth is, for me, is generational, man. It's really, having a nest egg for your kids before they even thought about, before you even think about bringing them into this world, making sure that, all your family is straight. And at the end of the day, I think wealth is also huge. This is a huge time thing, freedom of time, not being held down to having to go into the office all the time, like really just being free. So at the most basic level, I think wealth to me means freedom.
All right. And just I always get one book recommendation. You got a book recommendation for the people?
Yeah, I think my favorite book right now is I'm gonna give you a couple. Right now, I'm rereading Power of Habit, so that's a really great book. Finance wise, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind is really really good. And then also, I would say The Richest Man in Babylon. And then kind of Black history, kind of is why should white guys have all the fun?
Hey, that's a good ass book
Yeah,
too.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
I just finished that not too long ago. Next question, because we all about black people on this mug, and I like seeing black people that's out there doing it. Real relatable to my audience. What is just one thing you think the black community needs to improve on?
Man, I think really togetherness. Like we really need to be aligned on a strategy, not just for wealth building, but taking back our communities, home ownership, business. Like we need to be really just together and really just being one, really just being a community again. I think that's really the biggest thing we need to work on.
All right, and just the next question is just what's next for you, man? What you got? What's next in the next few years? What you plan on getting done?
Man, by 2023, my goal, I want to be making like a mil a month. That's my big income goal. But at the end of the day, man, right now, what's next? I really want to get into the new construction space in real estate and start killing that. Continually doing flips. Then I want to start my rental portfolio over again since I sold my first house hack. Um, so yeah, that's really next for me. Coming out with that new course, the Blueprint Reloaded, should be releasing in a couple of weeks. Make sure to grab that. But yeah, that's what's really next for me, and continually to become a better me, and continue to inspire and help people not only increase their incomes but just become better version of themselves. So yeah, that's really what I have on my agenda for the next couple of years.
Sir, last thing, man. How can the people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the Infamous CPA. You can visit my website at theinfamouscpa.com where you'll find some free resources. You'll find all of my courses, and you'll be able to contact me through there as well. But I'm mostly active on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay. And hey, once again, man, I appreciate you for coming on, man, dropping all the game. Again, we don't have too many people that come on that's doing as much as you got going, man. So thank you for coming through, man. Appreciate you. Welcome back anytime, brother.
Man, thank you for having me again, bro. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Sure, man.